Moving on, we'll go to 12.2, which is first reading for the 2020-2021 board meetings calendar, and we'll turn it over to Ms. Hill for this one.
As you know, and we talked about earlier tonight, the board has a policy that requires a third Tuesday meeting for each month. So you see on the attachment that you're given that we have marked the third Tuesdays by circling them in red. That's for the 2020-2021 academic year. June is the only exception. We could have done the third Tuesday, but we're asking you to make an exception to June because of the budget process. Often we have to come back to you and ask you to change that because the legislature doesn't formalize their budget until the end, which impacts our budget process. So we thought we would go ahead and plan for that longer time period if you approve it. Those are the first 12 meetings with the third Tuesday formula, and then there are additional 7, not 6 as I wrote on there. It's 7 meetings. They're circled in blue on your calendar. That would be the second meetings that we did for the first time actually, this year at your request. So we're proposing those. I know you need some time to look at it and think about it and ask questions. Feel free to reach out to me and ask me any questions about calendar. You'll notice that some of the third Tuesdays do come after one-day holiday, such as Martin Luther King or Labor Day or something like that. But we are quite practiced at doing that now, and so that's not an issue for us, as long as it's a one-day.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Are there any questions or comments for Mary Beth?
Well, not for Mary Beth, just for board discussion in general. I don't think we need all of these extra meetings. I think it would be helpful if the honors and achievements had their own venue and their own time and not necessarily during the board meeting. And if the board wanted to be actively engaged, then the board chair could MC that. So we could use, I understand we need some of these, to approve new hires before school or new board member training. But we don't need a low pack or a performing art, any of them. We could just have a school cafeteria with a stage. And then it would save on printing costs. We could do it, 4 or 5 times a year as opposed to every month that we have a board meeting. It would be less work for the communications staff since there wouldn't be award ceremony during the board meetings, and they wouldn't need to be recording. It would be more work time for us during the board meetings instead of doing award ceremonies.
Thank you, Ms. Garris. That's something for us to consider. I personally can't imagine it because we stay so busy, and my favorite part of the meeting is seeing the students and the parents and celebrating all the successes. But thank you for your
That's what I'm saying. We could still do that. We would just take these extra dates that we don't really need, because if you look back over all the dates we had the last year, 2 of those were new board member training, and 1 was just an update for new board members as to how business is done. And in 2 of those, executive session lasted longer than the actual meeting. So we could just take care of all of that during our regular board meetings. And I would hope we would all still go to the award ceremonies since we already have these dates on the calendar, and we would just do recognition instead of the actual board meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Garris.
Oh, one other thing.
Ms. Smith, before I forget, because I might forget if I leave here and don't mention this now, in the text paragraph, it says the proposed second meetings would be added August, October, January, February, March, and May, but those are not the months that are listed below that. Instead of October, there's September, and instead of January,
Okay, thank you. I also got the 6 and 7 mixed up.
So.
We'll
Another
take care
thing
of
is,
that.
I had written down here, we have outgrown the space. I know we got an email after the last meeting in May of last year. A lady was complaining about, the fire marshal and the exits being blocked and standing room only. So, and tonight I noticed there were standing in the back of the room. So, just for several different reasons, I think it would be beneficial.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Garris.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I guess I'll kind of philosophically, this may be something we want to kind of look at in terms of the extra meetings. I can tell you from like the board visits, from an employee perspective, it can be hard. It can be hard to make board visits. Now, obviously, the board is made up of retirees. The board is made up of people, who are actively involved in careers. And then when we have like a cancellation of a board visit, so you know, if I were to move patients, and trust me, people get upset when you cancel their doctor's appointment. And then to have it canceled, you know, the board visit canceled or moved, it does make it hard for board members to actively attend, working board members to actively attend board visits and those kind of things, and really to kind of get exposures to the school. I know y'all had mentioned that y'all in the past had maybe gone out to the community and done some board meetings at the schools, but obviously they weren't well attended or something along those lines, which obviously we would, you know, we could kind of talk through, but it would be a point of consideration that maybe it does offer us a chance to have a little more exposure to the school for ones who can't make board visits and those kind of things, you know, on a consistent basis. Just a point of consideration there.
That's a good point, too. Thank you, Dr. Guyton.